Hey everyone, so this video is pretty different from what I usually make. In this video I'm going to commentate over a random run I've done the other day and just kind of share my thought process on how I approach this run, unscripted. I think this will be very helpful for anyone still trying to beat Eclipse 8, and even for more experienced players maybe trying to be more consistent with Eclipse 8. This is less of a general guide, but more so me sharing my thought process for every single decision, habit, and play that I make all crammed into one video. Now, you might be wondering, why might my thoughts matter? Who even am I? Well, I'm nowhere near the best player in Risk of Rain 2, but I have achieved Gold in Eclipse 8 and have hundreds of hours of experience of purely Eclipse 8, so I'd like to think I'm somewhat knowledgeable about this game. Anyways, here's a run, and let me know if you guys want to see more stuff like this in the future. Hope you guys enjoy. So right away I'm thinking, I want to prioritize equipment barrels first, and then chests, and then Shrine of Chances, and then shops. In fact, I don't even want to buy from shops at all, because I first want to open or scout out a few equipment barrels in Shrine of Chances first. Because any equipment you get is a pretty decent chance to actually get an executive card. There's only so many equipments in the game, so you actually have a pretty decent shot of getting an executive card. Now I know it's very tempting to see a good item at a shop and just buy it right away, but it's a pretty good habit to at least scout out a few equipment barrels first, see if you get a card. You never know, it could happen. Because getting more items means more scrap, means more items put into good printers, or good soups, which you probably have a pretty decent chance of running into at least once in a run, which just spirals your run into a successful one. Anyways, I get an AP rounds from this chest. Very happy about that because damage items in this game are very good. The damage sources from different items are multiplicative of each other, so it's good to have a large variety of items that increase your damage. I highly recommend Disputed Origins video on increasing the damage you do, if you haven't seen that already. Very good video. So right now, just opening a few other chests, and got a sticky bomb, pretty happy about that, for the reason I stated about damage earlier. Although not as good because the damage is delayed, when other items can have you dealing that amount of damage right away, but it's alright, it's still pretty good. Got a mocha, movement speed, S tier, speed is key, one of the most important items you can get in an Eclipse run, because with speed, you avoid damage more, you have an easier time doing that. And the goal of Eclipse 8 is to take damage as little as possible, if not at all. So speed helps make that a lot easier. Very important to get speed. I'd say the hierarchy of importance of items is speed and attack at the very top. If for some reason you have to choose between speed and attack, in most scenarios I would pick speed. Next on my hierarchy of items in my head would be defensive items such as opals, repulsion armor plates, rose bucklers, and whatnot. There are two standouts in terms of defense though, that being the Hopu feather and the safer spaces. Those are the best defensive items in the game by far. Now, I'm just trying to get up, see if I can get to this nude altar. I haven't actually really explored all the pathing in this stage yet, but now that I've pulled a chrysalis, kinda wish I haven't done that. So yeah, the nude altar can spawn in these 3 different spots on this map. Very important to get the nude altar. Although most times cauldrons end up being mid, there is a chance it can be very good. So you may as well at least take the chance. You also get to pick your stages, which I will show later in the run involve some pretty important decision making. So anyways, I start buying from shops now because I feel like I've scouted enough for equipments at this point in time. So I just start buying from shops right away. I get the AP rounds because of what I said about damage earlier of it being multiplicative of each other if it comes from different sources. And I get the energy drink because it's one of the best items for Eclipse 8. Energy drinks are a little more survivor dependent. Some survivors you're not going to be sprinting as much, whereas in other survivors you're going to be sprinting almost all the time, with Huntress being one of those survivors. Still a pretty good item nonetheless. Anyways, I'm scrapping. War Banner, not that useful past the early stages. Stun Grenade, I don't really need to stun enemies. I'd rather risk getting a better printer. And Bolstering Lantern, I mean, you literally don't want to get hit at all, so why would you want to be below 50% HP? Now just doing a bit of scouting. I think I've gotten pretty much almost everything. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm gonna go start the teleporter right about now. Kill that stone golem pretty quick. For anyone who doesn't know, if you press the special as well as M1 during the ballista, you just shoot it really fast. Anyways, I got a tricorn there. Very nice. Tricorns are really good if you know what you're doing with them. Some bosses I like to use them the most on is the Imp Overlord. Situationally, I also like using it on the Solus. That's a pretty good item. Magma Worm and Overloading Worms are obvious picks. So I'm gonna save that tricorn for a later stage. Not use it here yet because I can get something substantially better. Anyways, my general strat for teleporter events like this is to just run in a big circle. And also notice how sometimes I'm going outside of the radius. Yeah, it's completely fine to go outside the radius if you feel like you have to do so in order to dodge. But as I was saying earlier, going in a circle, that pretty much just avoids almost everything. The best way to avoid enemies in this game is to strafe, but if you do so in a circle, you also kite everything towards the middle while strafing. Which is why a lot of good players in this game say to just walk in circles. You continuously strafe while kiting everything towards the middle. So anyways, I charge that. I remember I have a Shrine of Chance left. Hopefully it doesn't scam me. Okay, nice. And got a gasoline. Gasoline, one of the most important damage items in the game because AoE is very, very necessary. If you don't have AoE, the later stages are gonna feel like a nightmare to beat. You don't really need a lot of AoE, you just need some. And honestly, one gas for the most part is good enough. So now I'm just charging the Halcyon Shrine. I actually miscalculated a little bit. You need 300 gold in order to fully charge the Halcyon Shrine. 3 waves of stone golems spawn. 1 wave when you activate it right away, another when it reaches the minimum threshold, and then a 3rd wave when it reaches the medium threshold. You need 300 gold in total to fully charge this, but I was off by literally just a bit of gold. Pretty unfortunate. Thankfully, I did see a Shrine of Blood, so we're still able to get the 3 items for free. And wow, all the items in the Aurelianite fragment kinda suck. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, we always have access to cauldrons, scrappers, and printers. So what's considered trash currently can be goated in the future of a run. It's not all bad, I guess. So I just scrap all the items that are useless to me and won't ever be useful in the later portion of this run, with the exception of infusion, but I decided, you know what, I'm willing to risk this if there's a pretty decent green printer later on. Also notice how I have 6 white scrap. I like to scrap in multiples of 3 because cauldrons require 3 white items to give a green item. So just in case the green item is good in the Newt's Bazaar, I just like to keep scrapping in multiples of 3. Now I actually can get a red if I sacrifice all my white scrap, but the red sucks, so I don't do that. Now for stage 2, I'm on Abandoned Aqueduct because you get free bans if you know how to pot roll. But unfortunately, it wasn't one of the choices in Bazaar, and then we ended up getting Wetland Aspect, so it is what it is. So once again, looking for any equipment barrels first, opening equipment barrels and chests first before shops and Shrine of Chances. Not that Shrine of Chances are a detrimental thing to open right away like shops are, but sometimes you can just get unlucky and lose all your money right away and not have any items. So there's like a fine balance with how much you invest in Shrines of Chances as opposed to chests. Me personally, I just like going into chests first because sometimes you can get completely screwed over by a chance shrine. I see a Shrine of the Mountain. We're only on stage 2. It shouldn't be that bad yet, so I hit it. Now I buy from the shop because at this point I've done a decent amount of scouting and have yet to find an equipment barrel. Of the 3 I pick the energy drink because, as I said before, speed is key, should be one of your top priorities in a run, especially on survivors that lack mobility, such as Captain and Engineer. So I start buying drones. I've not really seen that many items, and honestly, drones are kinda underrated. If you have spare amounts of money, you may as well buy some drones. I ought to buy a healing drone because I have yet to have any form of healing in this run. Having a little bit of healing at least is very important because Eclipse 5's modifier of having all sources of healing and regeneration is pretty rough, not gonna lie. So usually in a run, in terms of healing, I like to aim for at least 1 slug or 1 weeping fungus. That's usually enough. I see a second Shrine of the Mountain. you know what? Screw it. Might as well hit it. I'm not really getting any items this stage. It'd be nice to get 3 greens. And at this point, I've played the game enough. I'm confident in my abilities to take on a 2 Shrine of the Mountain boss. So none of those items in the shop were good. I opt for the Bustling Fungus instead, just in case I can corrupt it into a Weeping Fungus. Anyways, I scout the map just one more time because I am in utter disbelief that this was all the map had to offer. Then I start the teleporter, kind of coping. I contemplate a little bit whether I want to use the tricorn or not, but I ultimately decided to use it because I don't want to deal with an overloading Wandering Vagrant with these items. I would have preferred to save it for stage 3 or 4 boss. Stage 3 can have some good bosses like Magma Worm, Imp Overlord, Grove Tender, but it is what it is, man. I'd rather not risk my life, you know? Anyways, those 3 Will-O-The-Wisps really helping a lot. Gosh darn, that really improved our damage a lot. That Will-O-The-Wisp, one of the better items in the game to stack if you can. It increases the radius and the damage. It also has a proc coefficient of 1.0, meaning it has just an equal amount of a chance to proc stuff as your M1. Pretty cool stuff, man. And anyone who doesn't know what a proc coefficient is, it's basically just a hidden value in the game that multiplies the chance something can activate. So for example, if you have a proc coefficient of, let's say, 0.5, the tri-tip that says it has a 10% chance to inflict bleed actually has a 5% chance to inflict bleed. That's why survivors like Rex kind of suck, as opposed to most survivors in terms of proccing. So anyways, I have a bit of leftover money. I decide to buy some drones, may as well. I've gotten absolute jack in terms of items. May as well spend whatever money I have left on drones. And oh my gosh, suddenly the plenty of drones that I bought that were decent suddenly became godlike. Yeah, I'm telling you people, buy your drones if you have extra money. I'm not saying drones are equally as important as items. Most of the time they end up being worse. But if you have a bit of spare money and the drones are right nearby, you may as well get it. Anyways, I contemplate for a bit whether I should spend the last 3 scrap on a band. Ultimately, I end up deciding to do it. I contemplate in the first place because there could always be like a lens printer or a speed printer or whatnot. But ultimately, I caved in. Now for stage 3, I wanted Scorched Acres. It has equipment shops. It does not have a TC that eats up a lot of credits. It has the Imp Overlord, which can drop a Shatter Spleen. It has the Grove Tender, which can drop a Little Disciple. And it also does not have any Vermin or Blind Pests. It does have Clay Templars, which I guess you can make a case for sucking, but honestly, I find them a lot more bearable. So we ended up getting Rally Point Delta, and I really don't mind it that much now that I have spare drone parts. If I get a TC, oh well, it's buffed by spare drone parts, I guess. It's actually a good drone now. I see a lot of shops here, so once again, the scouting out for some equipment barrels. And then finally we get a slug. So that's pretty much all the healing we need for this run. A very, very good healing item. What Cautious Slug does basically is increase your regen as long as you're not in combat. And when it says not in combat, it's pretty vague, but it actually just means whenever you don't take damage. So there's an equipment barrel, my #1 priority. I also see a drink printer. Unfortunately, a lot of my white items are very good, so I don't want to go into that unless I find a scrapper. Whenever you gamble something, you should always assume the best items you have will be taken, because it is a very possible scenario that can happen, and suddenly you wasted like 40 minutes on a run and you lost because you gambled. It has happened to me on my early days of playing this game a lot, which is why you should take advantage of scrappers as much as possible. So anyways, got a laser scope. At first I leave it on the ground because I'm thinking, I think I can do better than that. Hopefully I get a recycler. Crowbar, very nice. Pairs very well with our AP rounds because once again, different sources of damage from different items are multiplicative of each other. And for that same reason, Focus Crystal is also really nice to have. Although a lot more situational compared to the other 2 damage items. If anything, I would rather have a glasses or a watch. Poo Feather, let's go. One of the best defensive items in the game, and honestly just turns the Mythics fight into a bit of a joke. a lot of attacks in this game only really do a good job chasing you down horizontally, but once you have some vertical movement, those same attacks can be very easily avoided. I pick up the laser scope, not really a bad investment to make. I've also scouted a bit of equipments by now and probably won't get a recycler this stage, I'm thinking. So I'm getting a pretty decent amount of items this stage, so it looks like we're not getting a TC. Thank goodness. And ignition tank, let's go. It pairs very well with the gasoline. In terms of AoE, we're pretty much set for the rest of the run. I'd like to see if a fan spawns there, because if it does, that means loot can actually spawn on the cliff over there, but there isn't a fan, so no loot is going to spawn there, so not really worried about looking up there at all. Anyways, now that I've scouted a decent amount of equipments, I decide to go into shops. So I go for the crowbar instead of the key because we got a key earlier. And then I contemplate a bit between getting the tougher times or the focus crystal, but because of our lack of defensive items in terms of complete damage reduction, I just go for the tougher times. Focus crystal is a pretty situational item on Huntress, so I think I'm gonna get more benefit from tougher times than I will from another focus crystal. So at this point I'm thinking I've probably full looted. I'm ahead for the teleporter. Start it right now. Now I leave the teleporter radius a lot because there's a lot of blind pests. I don't really want to get overwhelmed. I want to circle them as much as possible, and I had to leave the teleporter to do that at the time. Yeah, it's a pretty good habit in this game to leave the teleporter radius if you feel you have to, in order to survive or take out enemies a lot better. You don't have to stay in the teleporter radius at all times. Anyways, take advantage of this little hill here so it's easier to dodge his homing projectiles. Once again, vertical movement is key for attacks like those, so having a bit of height from that hill helps a lot in jumping over them. And yeah, with the boss dead, I just run around in circles, avoid everything, charge a teleporter. But I do remember I saw some red tendrils during the teleporter event. That probably meant a drone, so I go over there to pick it up real quick. Now for stage 4, what I really want is Siren's Call. Thankfully we got it. Siren's Call is a chance for empathy cores. For anyone who doesn't know, spare drone parts and empathy cores is the best combo in the game by far. Disputed Origin made a video where he basically beats an entire run including Mithrix with just those two items. It is a very good and very powerful combo. So I picked Siren's Call because soulless control units which drop empathy cores are one of the teleporter bosses you can get. Plus, if you get a trophy on a tricorn, you can actually just use it on the alloy worship unit and get empathy cores guaranteed. I know some people don't really like the stage because of interactable bloat. A lot of the credits can be used on not that useful things like emergency drones and Shrine of the Woods. But now that I have spare drone parts, I really don't mind emergency drones. In fact, they're probably going to be pretty good with this loadout. And Hard Light Afterburner, I don't pick it up right away because I'm thinking, I can probably do better than that. I'll scout out for a recycler first. I mean, a recycler is going to be pretty important because there's also the red item that I'm going to get from the alloy worship unit. So just picking up drones along the way. I have spare drone parts, so they are very powerful. Nude altars can spawn in one of these 3 locations, so I just get it real quick. Yeah, very important that you get nude altars. Being able to pick your stage, or at least have a chance of doing so, is pretty neat. As I mentioned earlier, there are certain reasons behind why I pick certain stages. It varies from time to time, but yeah, it's really nice to have the choice. I finally got some crit. More chances to use my laser scope at last. Now I get another red, a Frost Relic. Once again, I'm gonna wait for the recycler, but I'm kind of leaning on the side of liking Frost Relic right now. Frost Relic low-key underrated, but I still look for a recycler first. It's not the best red. So I see that equipment drone. I kind of contemplate putting it in because if I have an equipment, I can take advantage of stuff like War Horns and Bottled Chaos and stuff. But ultimately, I decide to put it in. Having an equipment drone with spare drone parts, pretty neat. I've scouted for equipments for a decent amount of time by now, so I think it's time to pick up the reds. Probably not going to get a recycler. So anyways, I've full looted and gotten the nude altar. Gonna head out now, and in my mind I'm going, let's go. Got the soulless control unit. That means that's a chance for empathy cores. Not getting my hopes up too much because at the end of the day it's only a 15% drop chance, but it's still nice knowing there's a chance that it could happen. I could get the best combo in the game. And alas, disappointment. And after I use my equipment on the equipment drone too, come on man. So once again, run in a couple circles, charge up the teleporter. Then I fight the alloy worship unit. And although I have a frost relic that does a pretty decent amount of damage, I still don't want to get too close to the alloy worship unit. I don't have any rose bucklers or opals or repulsion armor plates, so he's still gonna hit like a truck. So still doing a pretty decent job of keeping my distance, making sure I don't get hit at all. And I just keep that up for a few minutes, eventually take the alloy worship unit down. Drones with spare drone parts are broken. They get the job done pretty quickly. And bottled chaos, nice dude, that's gonna pair very well with the fuel cell that I'm not able to use. Yeah, pretty unfortunate that we got bottled chaos, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Bottled chaos is of those items that are a lot better when you're looping and stack a bunch of them. But this is not one of those times. Anyways, I choose Sky Meadow because, once again, I might have a chance of getting empathy cores from a Solus control unit. Or if I'm feeling a little funky and there's a few shrines in the mountains, I can try and get an overloading worm. Anyways, I see the most goated green shop of all time, so I opt to find some equipments first, maybe get a card, hopefully get all three of them. And I make it a priority to take out that Zai construct as soon as possible, because we don't have repulsion armor plates or rose bucklers, so that laser is gonna hit like a truck. And I'd rather just not deal with it, so take them out right away. Yeah, enemy prioritization is just one of those skills you build up over time the more you play the game. Sometimes during a teleporter event you want to prioritize the boss first, other times you want to prioritize the billions of wisps that are spawning on you. It's about finding the right balance in terms of enemy prioritization. You see a few alpha constructs and a brass contraption, which one are you going to target first? Probably the brass contraption, since he can very easily kill you compared to the alpha constructs. It's small decisions like that, you know? Over time you get used to subconsciously, continuously making the right decisions. So nothing that eventful going on, just buying chests and drones, hoping I find some equipment barrels or shrines of chances, in the hopes that I get an executive card or a recycler or a trophy on a tricorn. And now that I've gotten an Aegis, I definitely want a recycler. And in that shop I see a feather and a sail star. In my mind, if I'm not getting a card, I'm thinking I want to get the sail star because I already have a feather. I don't really need two of them. I only need one to make the mythics fight baby mode easy. I also already have a hard light afterburner, so in terms of dodging in the mythics fight, I should be good. I don't need a second feather. Now at the same time, I'm also looking for a scrapper. It's kind of wild that I haven't seen one since like stage 1. What? Why? So I see my key box debating if I should open that or save it for the sail star. I ultimately decide on opening it up right away, saving the sail star for a large chest instead. And a head stomp, let's go. Having a head stomp means I have a pillar skip as well because I can do the host skip. And yeah, I think I should mention that I'm playing with KCC Downpatcher, which downpatches some of the physics in this game to the previous version. So stuff that was patched from the physics update in this game are back. And glasses finally. Plus 10% chance for that little laser scope. So now I'm buying from shops and picking up reds. At this point I've scouted for a while, so I'm probably not getting a recycler or an executive card. Anyways, now that I've looted a decent portion, I start the teleporter. And we got the Solus again. That means another chance for empathy cores. But once again, not gonna get my hopes up. It's only a 15% chance for it to drop. Don't have any shrines in the mountains or anything. So once again, I do my little circling strat. Very, very good. Very, very powerful. And just like that, able to take out the boss really easily. And look at that. Disappointment. Now I see there's some red tendrils in the distance over there. I ping it just in case it's like another drone or something, but it wasn't. Anyways, I go up here to do a bit more scouting and I see that there are tendrils on that little cliff side over there. So that probably most likely means another drone. So I make my way over there after charging the teleporter. Every little bit helps, especially with spare drone parts, where their power is very noticeable. And whoops, it was just a turret. So I saw a few more tendrils here, and oh my gosh, I missed an entire legendary chest. How did that happen? Now I don't pick up the red right away because I realized that I somehow missed this equipment barrel. I mean, you never know, this equipment barrel could be a recycler. But if it isn't, at least we can make use of the fuel cell in the bottle chaos now, for what that's worth. Also, forgive me please, pretty alright to have. We get a speed boost from Hunter's Harpoon, and some will-o'-the-wisp with some gas and ignition, pretty neat. So now we're on the moon. I'm on the lookout for perfected lunar Camaro wisps. Those guys will melt you in an instant, and especially since I don't have any repulsion armor plates or rose bucklers, I'm just wanting to avoid them at all costs. They are very, very dangerous. They can melt you in less than a second. So I checked the shops, checked the cauldrons. It's gonna take a very good red for me to want to go into it, because me going into a red is also a chance that I give up my bands and my feather. So Behemoth, although a very good red, in my head I think it's not really worth risking my bands and my feather for it, which is why I wish I saw a scrapper. Anyways, now I'm just looking for my rusted lockbox because I have a sale star. I figured I can probably get some good use out of it. But instead, I get trash. Unfortunate. You should do this in your normal runs though. Even though I got trash here, there was an equal chance that I got like a missile and a band or something. Yeah, scout for your lockboxes. I know it's a pain, but you may as well do it. You can get some good stuff. So, do the host skip. Pretty simple. If you don't know what that is, there is a tutorial on Cap's channel. Now before Mithrix drops in, I do a little ballista. It automatically shoots after a set amount of time. So when he drops in, you just get some free damage. Pretty nice. Now in this fight, I do my best to stay above him because his swipes do not hit you if you do that. I also try and circle around him because once again, strafing, very good. At the same time, I'm also kiting him to keep him in range of Huntress's attacks. I want to do a good job of keeping close, but at the same time not too far. Because if you're too far, he starts shooting needles at you, and it's a pain. Anyways, here's the second phase. I want to prioritize the wisps first. They are the #1 threat. Make sure I hide behind some pillars so I don't get shot down. If you stand in the middle, those wisps will shoot you down and end your run. So now that the wisps are gone, I make light work out of the rest of these fools. And here is phase 3. It's basically almost the same as phase 1, except when he slams his hammer, you gotta look out for the shockwave as well. And in Eclipse 8, he does the pizza right away after he lands. So just gotta look out for that. And pretty unfortunate that the pizza will most likely take out a large portion of my drones here. It is what it is. I don't buy back all the drones right away because, once again, they're probably just gonna die to pizza again. Don't want to use up all my money. Now, I stopped shooting him when he has a bit of health left so I can try and phase 4 skip. For anyone who doesn't know, Mithrix has a frame of vulnerability in between phases 3 and 4. So if you hit him on that frame, he just does not steal your items in phase 4. And one of the items that consistently does that is the K-Jarl's ban. But I mistimed it. He had a bit too much health. Pretty unfortunate. So I buy some drones and hide behind a pillar right away. And sweet, I got my energy drinks right away. I can just strafe very easily without getting hit. You can also do this without an energy drink, but I feel more comfortable using the strat of hiding behind a pillar. But now that I have some movement speed, strafing is very, very easy to do. So I just take my time, make sure to hit him with my ballistas when his move is on cooldown. And with spare drone parts, that's pretty much an easy dub. Yeah, drones are broken. So I look for a portal that goes counterclockwise. For some reason, the counterclockwise portals either teleport you here, very close to the ship, or this one other spot, which isn't too bad. And yeah, there is my thought process in an average Eclipse 8 run. I haven't gone into every little detail, but I've tried to cram as much as I could in this video. Hopefully you guys have learned a thing or two watching this, and if you're on your Eclipse climb, best of luck to you, man. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you found it informative, why not leave a like, maybe subscribe, maybe subscribe. I know it's annoying having people ask that, but it really does help out the channel when you do. Anyways, that's gonna be it from me. See ya.